Welcome to the Catholic Sobriety Podcast, the go-to resource for women seeking to have a deeper understanding of the role alcohol plays in their lives. Women who are looking to drink less or not at all for any reason. I am your host, Christy Walker. I'm a wife, mom, and a joy-filled Catholic, and I am the Catholic Sobriety Coach, and I am so glad you're here. Okay, so welcome everybody. Today I am so excited because I have Denise Jelinek here today on the podcast, and she is a grateful Catholic convert. She is a wife of 20 years, and after years of infertility is blessed to be the mom of her 2 teenage boys. Although once a binge eater, an overdrinker, and chronic people pleaser, she is now a Catholic health and weight loss coach dedicated to helping women grow closer to Christ and pursue peace as they learn to live free of excess weight, emotional eating, and all the things that distract and lure them with artificial comfort. Denise, I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much.
Christy, thank you. I am so excited to be here too.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just get started. I would love to hear what your story is as it relates to binge eating and over drinking. If you can just kind of share some of that with us, that would be amazing.
Yeah, growing up, Christy, I was a really shy kid. And I'll never forget the very first time that I had alcohol. I think I was 14 years old. And it was like magic for like 15 minutes before I threw up. But it was like amazing. Mm-hmm. And in high school and college, it was really the way that I could be the person that I wanted to be. Fun enough. I could be outgoing enough. I could be confident enough. I mean, I'm sure this is a story that so many of your listeners can relate to. But it wasn't until I got to graduate school that food became an issue. And I realized it's because that's when I started living alone. So until that point, I would just, party and overdrink and, it's totally socially acceptable. But in graduate school was the very first time I was living alone. I had a professional job as well. And so I had lots of alone time. And that's when I started binge eating, mostly from loneliness. And my whole history with binge eating is all done in secrecy. So when I look back, it's when I'm feeling alone, would never let anybody else see that I was doing it. And what's really interesting is that I was a personal trainer. I was in the fitness industry. So it was even like this source of shame because I'm totally in an industry that's so focused on diet and weight loss. You'll hear a little bit more about that story as we go along. But I couldn't do it myself. I was using food to cover my feelings. And I was totally constantly in this mental gymnastics of what do I eat? When do I eat? Thinking about food like 85 to 90% of the day. And towards the end of my binge eating career, I would rather be standing in the corner of my kitchen with a jar of peanut butter, a spoon, dumping chocolate chips in there than being with my family. And as you read, we had 2 kids that we adopted. We struggled with infertility. So we really pursued having these kids. What in the world was wrong with me? I was even so preoccupied with my kids' plates, hoping that they would leave food on their plate so I could eat it while I was cleaning up. I couldn't wait for my husband to go to bed so I could stay up and eat like I wanted to. And nothing was giving me lasting results. And what I mean by results was relief, long-term relief. No diets, no therapies, no trainers, no programs. I just thought if I could just find the right thing, the magic diet, the magic trainer, that one person, I just kept throwing money at this. And I didn't really have a turning point for years until one Christmas, I was just done. You could tell I was doing more and more secret eating I didn't want to do. And that was the thing. It's like I literally could see myself doing things and being like, why am I doing this? It was so confusing. And, if anybody in your audience has ever, that's how I knew I was an emotional eater. Like, I have the best intentions to not do something, and yet I was watching myself do it and having no idea how to stop.
Yeah. So when you were binge eating, were you still over drinking, or had you had that changed into the binge eating? Like, had you stopped over drinking and then the binge eating took over, or were you doing both simultaneously?
So I think, in the world of recovery, we always say you deal with what's killing you first, especially when you're dual addicted. And I would say when I first was most tormented by the food. But once I gave up binge eating, there was a part of me that was like, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just start drinking more. And so if you're familiar with the concept of whack-a-mole, which means we put one addiction down, pick up another one. Right. And that's really been my whole story. Just food down, picked up alcohol really significantly. It really started to take off. Now, prior to that, I had been doing things with alcohol that was really odd, like drinking on the way home from the grocery store, a couple times even drinking with my kids in the car, or like drinking before my son's like kindergarten graduation. I was just, again, just kind of like with the food. I'm doing things. I'm like, why am I even doing this? Yeah. So I got into food recovery in January of 2014. And I slowly started to see my wine consumption increase and increase and increase, and go earlier in the day and earlier in the day, and more justifications and more justifications. And then my life started to get really black and white when I wasn't drinking. So I would just think I could get through the whole day knowing that couple glasses of wine was at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's I hear that so often. It's women just rushing bedtime, or, trying to do things so quick so that they can get to the end of the day. And like you said, we pray for these children. We love them. We don't intentionally want to miss out on moments with them. But then we can see how that addictive mindset, it just kind of draws us to where that's all we can think about and focus on, getting to that reward. I deserve it, or whatever. But the other thing that's interesting is that some of my clients, they go the other way. They give up drinking and then food becomes the issue. Do you deal with that as well?
So I want to answer that. And I want to say, God is so good. God is so good to me. So here's what happened. I gave up the food, picked up drinking, and then I got drunk one night and binged. And at that point in my life, my food recovery was the most precious thing. It was my way to God. It was my way to be the mom I wanted to be the wife I wanted to be, to stop hating myself. And alcohol was going to take that from me. That's when I drew the line. I thought, I'll be darned. My lifeline at that point, which was my food recovery, over to alcohol. Yeah. That's it. I'm done. And so, of course, I had to get help for alcohol at that point. And I'll remember a woman who was helping with my food. She said, Denise, I've never seen anybody work 2 programs successfully. And I was like, well, you're going to have to see it now, because I'm not willing to eat and I'm not willing to drink. And this is just what I need to do. Okay. So to answer your question, I know that God was taking care of me because he let me put food down first and then alcohol. Because had it been the other way, I would have never put food down, ever.
Really?
Oh gosh, no. Because I'd be like, at least I'm not drinking.
Yeah,
exactly. At least I'm not drinking. Because it's so socially acceptable, especially in the in the sobriety world. Well, we'll have cake, we'll have candy, we'll have this, we'll have that. But the thing is that we see it. It's not the substance, Christy, and this is what all of your listeners need to know. It is not the substance that takes you away from Christ. You can put anything in there. It's the needing to have something to get through life. It's that whole belief of, I'll be okay if I can get to the end of the day and have a couple glasses of wine. I'll be okay if my husband just goes to bed so I can stay up and eat the peanut butter. I'll be okay if he stops acting that way. And so you can put food, alcohol, somebody else's behavior, anything that we're putting in that line, that fill in the blank, we're making our little g God. I'll be okay if my teenager just does blah, blah, blah. I'll be okay if they get the A's on the test. I'll be okay if my house looks clean enough.
Yeah, that's so true. I love your, this kind of leads into it because we're making an idol of whatever it is, whether it's drinking, our phone use, food, whatever it is. And I love that is it the name of your website? It's Turn to God, Not Food.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah. I just love that because it's so true, because when we're drinking, even when we're numbing, even if we're not drinking, like have an addiction, but we're just drinking just to numb or just kind of, relieve some stress. We think we're relieving stress. That still, takes us away from God because we're turning to something else. We're not turning to God in those moments.
And I don't want to pretend. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I don't want to pretend to be like a purist, like we should be on our knees all day. Now, trust me, Lord. I mean, the Lord knows that I just absolutely adore and love him. But what I'm trying to say is that let's just go in with our eyes wide open. There's fake fun and there's real fun. And do you know the difference between that, Christy? Okay, I'll tell you the difference.
You tell me.
Real fun is, you know what? We're having a really good time and I feel really good about it the next day. Fake fun is, hey, this is going to be great and we're having a great time and I feel horrible about myself the next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not saying that nobody should ever drink or nobody should ever eat chocolate, but just go in with your eyes wide open.
Right.
It's when we're feeling lured. It's like a bait and switch. I thought it would make me feel better, and now I feel horrible about myself.
Right now, alcohol feels like the only way that you can cope with the stress of motherhood, social pressures, and maybe even fit in with your group of friends. But you're starting to realize that it's leaving you feeling ashamed, disconnected, and maybe even out of control. Imagine if you could wake up each morning feeling at peace and proud of the choices that you're making and free from the pressure to drink, whether that's at home or in social settings. And that, my friend, is where my 5-day Sacred Sobriety Kickstart comes in. By the end of the 5 days, you will feel more peaceful and in control because you will have more clarity and confidence around your decisions to take it or leave it. You're also going to learn how to manage your mind in a way that is aligned with your faith. You will learn how to speak truth over yourself, and that will help you root out what's keeping you stuck. So check out my 5-day Sacred Sobriety Kickstart and gain the clarity you need to make the decision to take alcohol or leave it from a place of peace. You can visit my website, thecatholicsobrietycoach.com. I have a pop-up there, or just go to my show notes.
Well, it's not the way God wants us to live.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And I think that you and I, with our work, it seems like from what I know from your work and what I do with my clients it is about bringing awareness of why am I drinking, like what cue happened? What did I feel afterwards? How much did I drink or how much did I eat? And those types of things, because like you said, it could just be for fun. I went to a wedding and I had, whatever. I can't because I'm an addict. And if I have any alcohol, it'll set me back. But that's not the case for everyone. And it's not the case for all of my clients. But some of them will just not drink it unless they know that it's going to be, like a celebratory thing, like a wedding, or maybe they are going to out with the girls. So there's that aspect of it. But then there is, are you using it for the wrong reasons? Is it serving you? How do you feel afterwards? Like you were saying, what do you feel like the next morning?
I'll tell you, I knew that I had a problem with alcohol. I mean, like I kind of had an inkling like years before, because I like to say my relationship was like, I always drank for the effect. Always. Always. I always did everything for the effect. But when I was in my food recovery plan or program, I was told, well, just, plan how much alcohol you're going to have. And I couldn't do it. I mean, like I could plan it. I might be able to stick to it, or I might not. Like I could not predictably be able to stick to it. And that's when I was like, oh. So I see your point where you're like, well, just, decide what you want and what's going to make you feel good and just stick to that. I could never do that. That's how I knew I had a problem.
Yeah, exactly. That's same with me. Like I never drank like a quote unquote normal person. It was always for an effect, like you said. And I started drinking when I was 14, and that's when I first got drunk. And then every time afterwards, it was always like, how much can I consume? But that's not the way for everybody. Like my husband drinks fine, and he's like a responsible drinker and doesn't do it all the time, those types of things. So there are people that can moderate. I'm definitely not one of those people with alcohol, but I can moderate other things. So, So why don't you tell us a little bit about your work as a Catholic health and weight loss coach? I'm so excited to hear about this.
So I have been a personal trainer for over 20 years, having my own business, and my businesses were 100% secular. 100% secular. And then the pandemic hit. And I came home out of the gym's closed, and I started working virtually. Well, I got a good taste of that, and I loved working virtually. And I thought, I want to get recertified as a coach. I was a wellness coach prior to that. I want to get recertified as a coach. That way I can help women with all the things. The diet, the exercise, the sleep, the stress, the everything. And I'm going through my certification, and I just had this like hit by a 2x4 from God that he's like, ha, Denise, you thought that you were getting your certification to create some great new business. Like, I don't want that for you. That's not what I created you for. I want you to bring souls to me. And I was kind of like, souls to you? What? And the more I started to refine what he created me for, it was this. I never spoke publicly about being a binge eater. And I can't believe, well, I guess I do know how much secrecy and shame is around it. And the Lord is like, yeah, you need to help women come out of this and live close to me. Well, I was like, I don't think so, Lord. I think that's kind of like professional suicide. So I got this feeling like I should be, bring souls to Christ. But like I said, I thought it would be professional suicide. But I started looking, can I even be a Christian? A Christian coach? Is that like a thing? I saw there were some. And then I came upon a business coach that was Catholic. And I was like, oh, dare I be Catholic? I love my Catholic faith. I love it.
Yeah.
And just finding a community of Catholic women. That's where I found you. And I'm like, yes. Because, and you and I share the same business coach that says that she often asks herself, am I willing to look foolish for Christ? But it doesn't even matter because I know this is exactly what he created me for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that you and I are really good at and could be lending our talents to. But he created other people for those things. He only created me for this. And I am very clear on that. I'm just very clear on that. Which I think just makes it even easier to do his work, because the work that I do with women isn't me. It's just all him.
Yeah, I love that. And I totally share that. I mean, you just know, when you know, right? You just feel it, and you can feel guided, and you know that this is what you were meant to do. And sometimes I'll think, or I'll even say, like, I wish that there was somebody like me when I got sober. But then I think, you know what? No, because that's what God made me for. You know, he did the work, you did the work that you did, so that we could then help Catholic women just live lives that they love in freedom and grow close to Christ. And I love that.
And I think that it's because you and I did not have us, you know, like ourselves, we can then see where the holes are. And, you know, when I talk to women, I've been in recovery for 8 years now. And a couple of things that I say is, you know, what I've learned in those 8 years is it doesn't need to take years.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, like, because we have this perspective and we now can see, these are the most important things to do at the times that you do them. Let's just do this. And when we can marry it with faith from the, you know, right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah.
People can have recovery so much quicker. It's so much more of a streamlined process.
Yeah, I completely agree. Oh, okay. So you and I are very passionate about helping women become the best version of themselves so that they can live a beautiful and fulfilling life that God has planned for them. How do you think that food and alcohol and other disordered attachments are getting in the way of that?
Yeah. Here's the thing, is that there's a point where you realize something ain't right here. Something's not right. And you think there's something wrong with you, that you're broken. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And what I want everybody who's listening to know is that there's absolutely nothing wrong with me, and there's nothing wrong with them. What happens is we start getting in these patterns of turning to food, turning to alcohol, turning to my husband's approval, turning to I'll be okay as long as my kids get good grades. We just get in these patterns of looking to fill in the blank for comfort and peace and security. And I love that word security. Like, I'm going to be okay and I feel secure if. And that's the thing, is that we get into these patterns of turning to something else other than God. And he wants to meet all of our needs. And he wants to give us the comfort that we're searching for. And what's really interesting is that a lot of people might even be asking, like, does God even care what I weigh? Does God even care how much I drink? And, you know, God doesn't care. But I do know what God does care about. And in Romans 12:2, they say, do not conform to the ways of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of the mind. Okay, let me break it down. Do not conform to the ways of this world. Because this world would be like, wine night, wind down, you know, let's eat burritos, tacos and tequila. I mean, it's like gut it up, drink it up, and it's totally fine. But do not conform to the ways of the world. Do not conform to the ways of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And the renewal of your mind is like having true freedom, true peace. Because no matter what the world wants to tell you, you know when something doesn't feel right. You know when you're feeling trapped. You know when you don't feel free. And for food and weight, the world says, just be the magic size, right? As long as you're the magic size, have the magic diet. And Christy, I had all that. When I came into food recovery, I was maybe 15 to 20 pounds more than I am now. I mean, I don't know why I wasn't over 200. Actually, I do know. I don't think I ever got over 200 pounds because I didn't ever get pregnant. Okay. And I was always an exerciser.
Right.
So anyway, that's just a little side note. But does God really care about what you weigh or what you drink? I don't think he does. But what he does care about is being fully united with us. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree with that. Absolutely.
Yes. And then he also cares about the way that we think about our weight in our body, or the way we think about how much we drink. It's making us feel bad about ourselves and preventing us from being closer to him. The truth is, he wants to be our everything. And anything that's consuming our thoughts that isn't life-giving and freeing and peaceful isn't of God.
Right. Yeah, he gives us these things for pleasure and because he loves us and he wants us to enjoy them. But when we start having more of a disordered attachment to them, where we are putting them before him, that's when it isn't, we can tell that it's not good. Like you said, we just know in our bodies that it's not good, even before we admit it to ourselves, I think, a lot of times. So what do the women who come to you for coaching think the problem is, but what really is the problem that they're having with food?
Yeah, well, so many women, they think, I mean, they kind of know my whole shtick.
Yeah.
So they know what they're coming to me for. But what they typically think is that if they just have the magic diet, they just have the best exercise program, that they'd be totally fine. Just tell me what to eat and I'll eat it, which is total horse crap. That people don't do that. I mean, they just don't do that. But what the real problem is that we have to get to the root of why we eat. Emotional eaters start turning to food to meet all of their needs. They're happy, they eat. We're sad, we eat. We're lonely, we eat. We're stressed, we eat. We celebrate, we eat. And what happens is, so we have these problems, and this is what my life was like. I would have like a problem, but I didn't even really know what the problem was because I wasn't addressing it. I just had like an uncomfortable feeling. So I would eat over it, but it didn't actually change the problem. Now I have original problem plus all my bad feelings about myself because I ate, plus all my bad feelings about my body, all my shame about being a personal trainer who's overweight, plus da.
Right.
So it just compounds our feelings or our problems. So women think they just need to change their food. And here's what I tell people. If you've had a hard time losing weight, it's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because you're starting in the wrong place. Because so many people are starting with changing their food, which is so crazy. Because you'll never be able to change your food because you never get to the root cause of actually why you're eating. And so what I help women do is to just come up with a really, really, really easy to stick to meal plan that includes all the foods that they love. And then we address the real issues. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a whole step-by-step process. So it feels very natural and gentle. But I never tell women to give up any specific foods. They usually decide to, because I help them find where those foods are causing chaos in their lives. And people don't come to me for their lives to get harder, that's for sure. No. They come to me because they want their lives to be more peaceful and easier. And typically once they see, kind of like I was with the alcohol, this isn't making my life easier. And it was taking more than it got to the point. Now, it's not always, it doesn't happen in the beginning. But when you have an addiction or you have, let's just say, a chaos causing food, in the beginning, it brings like a lot of fun to your life. But there's a point, if you ever get to that tipping point where the food or the alcohol starts taking away more from your life than what it brings to you, and that's when you hit your bottom.
Yep. Which is different for all of us, and I just think that is such a good point for sure. Because it is, I love that you say chaos causing foods, and I've followed you and I've heard you do other coaching, and your approach is just really unique. I've heard lots of different things, about like intermittent fasting and Whole30 and Weight Watchers. There's like all these things, that you grow up hearing or you hear. Your approach does seem like it's so different and so gentle and not really super complicated. Like if you're trying to explain, I'm on Whole30, well, I can't have this and I can't have that and I can't do this and I can't do that. And people are like, what are you eating? But when you can still eat the food you love, then you don't feel so like out of place, maybe. Would you say that, like if they go to a family function or they go to a party or if they go, to where other people are, does that help them not feel so like out of the loop?
I mean, here's the thing is that, typical and traditional weight loss starts, no matter if it's Whole30, Weight Watchers, all the things that you just listed. What does it start with? It starts with, let's change the way we eat. Let's change the way we eat. Hey, listen, women are not overweight because of what they eat. And it has nothing to do with knowing what to eat. I was a personal trainer, for goodness sakes. I used to write diet plans for people. And when they would follow them, when they'd come back a week later and they'd be like, yeah, I did this, I did this, I did this. I'd be like, I thought they were lying because I couldn't follow anything more than 4 or 5 days, because then the weekend would come. And that's the last thing I'm going to do is stay on a plan for the weekend.
Yeah.
So what happens is when we just focus on the food, then we put all of our energy, and guess what we're still thinking about? We're still thinking about food.
Yeah.
And it distracts us from the root of why we're eating. Getting on the scale.
Yeah. The other ones, I mean, they're sustainable for a little bit, but it's hard to, keep doing that, I think, through your whole entire life, where you're like you said, you're getting to the root of the problem and it just becomes a lifestyle. It just becomes part of who they are. And they don't have to think about it after a while, I would guess.
No, you never go off or go on. I've had women, oh my gosh, last summer, I had a woman who went on 4 vacations in like 5 weeks. She lost like 7 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, that's just the thing, is that it's really hard to articulate. What I teach women to do is to create an easy to stick to meal plan, foods they love, and the amounts that they feel good about. Nobody is overweight because they're eating a normal amount of food. They're just not. We're overweight because we're eating lots more food than we care to even admit. By simply writing down food that you love, it helps you also grow in virtue. Helps us grow in honesty and repairs the relationship with ourselves. And what's so interesting, and let me just say this, because I'm sure your listeners are like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I don't want to do that. Or they're thinking, oh, I don't even know what I want to eat. And I love to ask women, if you were given $500,000 to plan food for your kids for one day that they would enjoy and look forward to, could you do that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. For my kids. Yeah.
Yeah. What if I gave you $500,000 to plan that food for your husband? Just for one day. That he'd be like, oh, thanks, hon. I like this. Yeah, thanks. Could you do that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I know. So for $1 million, just make a best guess. Just make an attempt. Just try it. It's just one day. And if you don't follow what you wrote, it's totally fine too. Anyway, so the process is very intuitive, very gentle.
Oh,
it's
I love
lasting.
it. Yeah, I think it sounds amazing. And I mean, the best part is that you're helping women grow closer to God in the process. And like you said, grow in virtue. And I just absolutely love that. So, and you have an intensive coming up, right? Can you tell my listeners about that?
So it's called the Food Freedom Weight Loss Intensive. It is an 8-week program that we start February 13th. If anybody's listening to this call live, we start February 13th of 2023. It is with a beautiful Catholic wellness or Catholic life coaching company called Made for Greatness. You can go to madeforgreatness.co to hear about it. But, as I told you, I started my food freedom journey 8 years ago. And what I've learned is that it doesn't need to take years. And so what I've taken is the best, most effective pieces of what I've learned that have not only given me freedom from feeling controlled and confused by food, but also brings me closer to Christ. And what people learn is a lifetime of how to live a lifetime at a healthy weight, eating the foods that they love. And here's the thing is that so many of the people listening, I know, are doing these prayers and they're praying and praying and praying. And I remember being like, what's wrong with my prayers? Why aren't they working? And it's not that our prayers aren't working, but we need some earthly help. And I found that it really boils down to a woman knowing herself and her needs, learning how to meet her real needs, and then addressing the real issues rather than eating them. And I teach them all of that. Simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the best part. It's simple. It's doable. I mean, it sounds so good. And 8 weeks, just try it for 8 weeks, right? And then.
Well, it is what's really fun is that because it's happening during Lent, it's 8 weeks with other Catholic moms. You get 24/7 access, 24 hours, 7 days a week, access to me as your weight loss coach. We have weekly group coaching calls. We have this workbook. Each week, the women get a bite-sized video, and it tells them what to focus on. So there's no guessing. You guys don't have to figure out anything. It's step by step. It's like, do this week to make progress. Do this week to make progress. And we don't skip steps. We just do one thing at a time. And my favorite part is that you don't need a diet and you don't need willpower. You only need 3 things. You want to know what those 3 things are, Christy?
I absolutely do want to know. What are they?
You need a pen. You need the Holy Spirit. And you need willingness. And you can't do it wrong because God's the one that changes and heals us. All we do is show up and do the steps. Do the steps that are laid out in the video each week. It's simple.
It does. It sounds crazy simple. I love it. And I know that your intensive have already helped like so many women find food freedom. And I just think that's amazing. And I am so glad that you listened to God's call for your life and that you are doing this and helping so many women so that they can, just grow closer to Him and find the freedom that He wants us all to have. He loves us so much that He just wants us to be free so that we can do all the things that He has, planned for us. And I just think that's incredible. So Denise, thank you so much for being here today. And I am going to leave all the information about the intensive in the show notes. And I even have Denise's email, so you can get in touch with her if you have any questions or want to reach out to her for anything. And Denise, thank you so much. It's been such a blessing having you here.
Thank you, Christy. It's been such an honor. God bless.
God bless you.
Thank you once again to my amazing guest, Denise Jelinek. You'll be able to find all the information about her Food Freedom Intensive. That's an 8-week intensive program that starts February 13th, 2023. She just has an amazing program that will teach you how to eat the food you want without feeling deprived and just, not be ruled by food. It really does give you freedom. So thanks again, Denise. Well, that does it for this episode of the Catholic Sobriety Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I would invite you to share it with a friend who might also get value from it as well. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. I am the Catholic Sobriety Coach, and if you would like to learn how to work with me or learn more about the coaching that I offer, visit my website, thecatholicsobrietycoach.com. Follow me on Instagram at the Catholic Sobriety Coach. I look forward to speaking to you next time. And remember, I am here for you. I am praying for you. You are not alone.